So I want to start off. It's July 1st as we're recording this, Jason.
July 1st.
Do you know what day it is? I mean, not the date, but the significance of the date. I always do this to you. I put you on the spot.
Has a QR code for the church on his t-shirt day.
So here's the thing. We were just talking about this, Jason, before we came on to record, that we are going to have, Lord willing, a guest next week who lives in Canada. So I wouldn't expect you to necessarily know this, but it is actually Canada Day.
Really?
Yes, this is a celebration for their country. Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to all our Canadians.
See, we're continuing to learn more and more about Canada, aren't we, Jason?
Every day.
Yes.
Even we're not necessarily talking about them. I'm learning about them. I love it.
That's right. And now we're going to have another Canadian guest on. His name is Dean Lentini, I think is how you say his last name. He has a YouTube channel that I saw, and I reached out to him, and he said he would like to come on and chat with us. So I think that's going to be a really good conversation. We're going to talk about pastors, the role of a pastor, preaching, and also the topic related to that, plagiarism in the pulpit. Yeah. Why are you laughing?
Oh my gosh. Pastoral preaching plagiarism has been a hot button topic for the last couple of weeks. So this week, rather, let me say it like that.
So I've heard.
Yeah. I've heard a thing or two about that. I've been looking forward to that. So that's next week. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. But this week, we have a topic that actually it's been a topic that has been talked about for a few months, I think, online. But I saw an article recently that I just thought it would be good for us to talk about. Some of the things really stuck out in this article. So I'll pull it up on the screen here so everybody can see the title of the article. This is from churchleaders.com, and it's about John Piper's son, Abraham Piper. Not Desiring God is the title. John Piper's son criticizes his upbringing to 925,000 TikTok followers. So I'd like to hear in the comments, how many have known about this situation. Jason, you've actually known about this situation and have watched some videos that you sent me some links to. So I try to put those videos in the video description. I'll try to put the links so people can watch some videos on it along with our video. Yeah. So what have you been thinking about this situation? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad to see. I mean, a lot of people, good, bad, or indifferent, a lot of people appreciate John Piper for what he's done for the Christian church and the body of Christ overall. So definitely no shade there. And then to see his son deconstructing his faith literally live, if you will, or for the whole world to see, it's kind of hard to watch. I got some comments about what actually the son Piper is actually discussing, but I'll save that for a little bit later.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe a lot of you have seen the clips of the TikTok videos that Abraham Piper does. I will say, John Piper obviously is a very intelligent person, and I get the sense that Abraham is also very intelligent too, but he's really has a whole different completely different outlook. And it's actually really sad. I know a lot of people are sad just to see how he takes really, that ability to communicate effectively. I mean, he is an effective communicator, but he's using it for purposes that are definitely anti-Christian. And later, I want to point out something specifically he says. He says he's not attacking Christianity, but then he clarifies something there. So I'll talk about that too later. I will throw out something at the front here that I can relate to. I don't know if you know this, Jason, and probably a lot of people don't know, but I'm a PK myself.
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah, I'm a pastor's kid. So I know that for some pastors' kids, it's very difficult for them. And I was thinking about this. People will talk about how everybody's watching you as a pastor's kid and they have these expectations. I never really felt that way, to be honest. I feel like obviously it depends on the family you're in and the church that you're in. I'm sure all of that makes a difference. But I think what it is it's more just the fact that if your dad is known for something and stands for something, then, you know, the way you live your life does relate to his life, you know, and his reputation and all of the things that he stands for. You know, I mean, I know this is kind of not a great analogy, but I mean, if you were a doctor who was purporting, you know, how to live healthy, and your son just decided to live the opposite of that, you know, it kind of reflects on you. So I think that there's the pressure in that sense, right? You know, like there's an inconsistency that people feel when the father, you know, the parents stand for one thing and then the child stands for something else. And I think that is magnified in the case of a pastoral family. But there are people who say, I actually read a comment on one of the videos where the person was saying, I think in response to Abraham Piper or John Piper, I can't remember, but basically that situation, they were saying they grew up as a pastor's kid and they think pastors shouldn't even have kids because it traumatized them. Yeah. So I'm speaking as a pastor's kid and saying that is not a universal thing. There are many pastors' kids who grew up feeling very well, you know, well-grounded and loved and accepted and not traumatized. So, but you know, that is a factor at what's at play here is he is a pastor's kid. If he was just a random atheist, it would be one thing, but the fact that he's a pastor's kid kind of adds to this whole situation.
Yeah. And I think the idea that the child's behavior reflects on the father, I think you also have to think about it when they're in your household. I do think that that's true. But once they're out and they're already on their own, doing their own thing, I don't think it plays as big a role or reflects rather as much on the parent as it does just the child making the decisions that they're making. Because I've seen comments that, you know, John Piper should never be in ministry again because his child. Like, no, I don't think that's fair. He had some beliefs and some ideologies I think we should discuss. John Piper does, but I don't think you should kick him out of ministry because his child was his son is deconstructing. But and I definitely don't think a pastor should not have kids because how can they? That's actually part of a pastor's description in scripture that they rule their house well and have children that are well behaved. So if they don't have children, how do you know that they can even govern or direct or lead a church when they don't see they don't have children? It doesn't make sense. So, I disagree with that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm, you know, someone who's done pastoral work and I have kids. So I definitely think that, yeah, I have 6 kids. So I'm definitely in favor of pastors having kids. I mean, yeah, I agree. I think when you're in the household is what I was talking about, that it is magnified, you know, if you're a pastor's kid and you're not following what your parents say. But Abraham Piper was a grown man. Really, I think the article says that he first kind of had a situation where he you know, veered off, and he was excommunicated when he was 19. So already at that point, he's a legal adult. And I do think John Piper, if I heard this correctly, and this may not be right, but I'm thinking this is what I heard, that Pastor Piper did talk to his elders maybe about that situation and whether he should continue in the pastoral role in light of that. But I don't think once this child is an adult, they're making their own decisions. And I agree with you. It really doesn't reflect at that point on the person. The question is always, do you rule your household well when they're under your roof? Are you someone who takes care of your household the way that God would want you to take care of his people? And so, I agree with everything you're saying.
But yeah, let's jump through this. I know you had some portions that you wanted to talk about, and I wanted to talk about some portions of this article as well, because I think it does have a lot to. I think it's actually pretty interesting, and I'm not a big I actually don't own a TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. I don't understand it that much as it relates to its usefulness. Because to me, everything I've seen come out of TikTok just seems like the bastion for bad theology, bad health advice, bad financial advice. I haven't seen anything from TikTok that makes me think, wow, this platform is so very useful. It just seems like it's just
wait now. Have you seen that guy that points out the absurdity of life hacks? You know what I mean? He takes these. Yeah, that's TikTok.
Okay. But and because I've gone down that rabbit hole, because they'll come up on Instagram or they'll come up on YouTube. Tim, I think people do those silly things in order to get him to do a video showing it. Because I'll see people do something like, I don't know how to take off the cap on my chapsticks. I'll cut it off. Like, almost like they're doing it in hopes that he'll do it. Like,
you know what, that I know where this is a rabbit trail, but this reminds me of that guy that does Photoshop, and people purposely request him to change the pictures, knowing that he's going to do something funny. Yeah,
ridiculous. Is that a TikTok too?
No, I think he does that more on Twitter. So,
okay. Well, all right. Yeah. So, except for the good laughs, I will say then I can't see any other good value.
I think TikTok, I hear what you're saying, and I think TikTok is the medium of the youngest generation that is using social media. So what's happening, I believe, is that for us, we're probably not prone to use TikTok because it's kind of the new thing, but but I think if you look at what Abraham Piper is doing, if someone did that but for Christianity, it could be an effective platform.
I guess.
I think it could be.
To me, actually on my blog, I'm doing a series called This Week in Memeology, where we take memes and kind of parse them apart and see, where they're theologically off. So to me, TikTok just seems like a video meme. It's just too short to get quality. I don't know, man. I don't think the world, and I definitely don't think the church needed TikTok in order to propagate the gospel or push the gospel out.
Hey, Facebook was once the thing that people didn't understand. Believe it or not.
You're right, man. I got you.
Yeah. Hey, if there's anybody watching who uses TikTok in a way that is glorifying to Christ, we want to hear about it, right? You'll be the first person that we highlight on TikTok. And maybe you'll, give Jason a little bit more open-mindedness about the platform. So Jason, what did you want to say about Abraham Piper specifically? Did you have anything you were thinking?
Yeah. So in this, like the third paragraph of this article, and I've watched quite a few of his deconstruction videos. I've watched several rebuttals to his deconstruction videos, and he just seems like a clearinghouse for bad atheist argument. or the I gotcha Bible contradictions that people like to every now and then pop up. Like that's not even something like, so you left the faith because you didn't think the Bible was good for children to read? Really? Really?
Mm.
So in the third paragraph, it says the deconstructionist has over 925,000 followers on TikTok. That's almost as many followers as his father has on Twitter, which is over 1 million. Abraham's focus is geared toward debunking Christianity and the truth of the Bible. So I'm going to stop right there, because later on he says he's not attacking Christianity. He doesn't do any videos that I've seen about Islam. He doesn't do any videos about any other faith system. So yeah, you really are attacking Christianity. Be honest. It's okay if you wanted to say you're attacking Christianity. There's no problem with that. I don't think you need to put it under this guise of I'm being fair to everybody. You're not. But that's okay. I know this is weird. I'm not offended by you admitting, Mr. Piper, that you do have a beef with Christianity. Just say it, and the Bible. There's no problem with that. There's no harm, no foul. Okay? But just know, by doing so, you do invite the proper correction from others who can critique what you're saying. So that's all, it's fair. Somebody's going to critique what I'm saying. They're going to critique my green shirt today. It's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that. Jason@jwitt.com. So we continue. His page is filled with a plethora of videos with titles such as "Almost Nobody Believes in a Literal Hell." That's a very interesting statement. "Why Life Would Be Pointless if There Was Ultimate Meaning." "The Bible Says Having Kids Isn't a Good Idea." What I replace Christianity with, and "If You Still Live with Evangelical Parents." And they give you that little warning right there. I've watched a lot of these videos, and they're just, again, to me, Tim, they just seem like the run-of-the-mill atheist rebuttal. If you've ever watched any of these popular Christian artists that have come out and now say that they're no longer Christian, or they're no longer believing in God, or whatever like that a lot of that was happening last year and the year prior. A lot of their rebuttals are things that he's talked about. Whether or not they understand the scriptures, or why would a good God send you to hell? What's the purpose of suffering, and so on and so forth. These are questions that I think Christians should ask. If you don't understand it, I believe that you should ask those questions. But to say, "Oh, I'm going to throw away my faith," or "I'm no longer going to believe in God because I don't understand why some child in a third world country has is going to die in agony or with some kind of cancer that they can't deal with. So therefore, I will not have a faith." That's a lot too far. So that was just something I noticed, and I kind of wanted to start out with, Tim, but I'm going to pass it back to you, my friend.
Yeah. So, I the thing that jumped out to me with this, and I mentioned it a little earlier, he says, "I don't attack Christianity." And he actually has a video titled that. He says, "I don't attack Christianity. I berate evangelicalism, fundamentalism." So I think what's really going on here, this is very personal for him. You're right. He doesn't attack Islam. He's attacking the Christianity he grew up with, because he grew up in an evangelical fundamentalist-ish circle. And he says he called it a deconstructive, narrow-minded worldview, and explained that the most, destructive. I'm reading into it. He is deconstructed, but destructive, narrow-minded worldview, and explained that the most destructive, narrow-minded aspects of it is that its adherents feel as if they are the entirety of Christianity rather than the tiny sliver of it that they actually are. Yeah, so I mean, you can tell he has a problem with what he experienced. I think is really what's going on here, and he's attacking what he thinks are narrow-minded. But here's you raised the point. He actually isn't always very intellectually honest, or hasn't thought things through. I don't know what it is, but to say that Christians are narrow-minded is kind of ridiculous because everybody at the end of the day, if you're going to take a stand and say, this is right, and I think that's wrong, that is a form of narrow-mindedness. I mean, we can all accuse each other of, of being narrow-minded. But I get what he's saying. There maybe are people, but that's true in every single worldview. The people who don't want to listen.
Watch this.
Go ahead.
Tim, who's the best baseball team?
Oh, you're setting me up.
I'm setting you up. Come on, Tim.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Atlanta Braves are the best baseball team ever. Ever.
Yeah. See, you could say that. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna leave it at. I'm gonna wear my hat as a demonstration of my beliefs.
So you're narrow-minded. You are you're anti Atlanta Braves because see, I mean, I'm being silly, but yes. So you are 100% correct. There is some point that we could push Abraham Piper to the point that he would be narrow-minded or closed-minded to something, whatever it is. Because hey, truth be told, he's narrow-minded in the idea that fundamentalists are narrow-minded. So again, I mean, we can play this game until lunacy.
Yeah. So there's that, but I want to make sure we hit on this last thing in the paragraph where he says that one of the narrow-minded aspects of evangelicalism is that its adherents feel as if they are the entirety of Christianity rather than the tiny sliver of it that they actually are. He is really good at taking swipes at people and really mischaracterizing them. Yeah. I get what he's saying, but I think obviously he's oversimplifying the matter. First of all, I think you would agree with this, Jason. Evangelical Christianity at its heart, what we mean by that, you and me, is believing the scriptural gospel. Right. And that's not a tiny sliver of Christianity. That's just the definition of Christianity from the beginning, right? Right? I mean, so I think you could say many Christians over the course of church history have believed in biblical Christianity, the biblical gospel, whether or not they called it evangelicalism. Evangelicalism is just a modern term we use. Yeah. So I think he's, mischaracterizing. And, to say that we feel we're the whole of Christianity, I think he's looking at it as if we as Americans, for example, are just seeing ourselves as being the right kind of Christians. And I don't think evangelicals, by and large, think that way. They know that there are many Christians throughout the world who express their worship in different ways in different cultures, but they believe the biblical gospel. And so I think he's completely mischaracterized the position of evangelicals as he says they're narrow-minded, thinking their slice of Christianity is the entirety of Christianity. And I just,
agree. And I want to jump back. I agree with you, Tim, and I just want to jump back and point out, again, he's not attacking any other religious text. He's not attacking any other ideologies or philosophies. If you jump back up to the top where right after the paragraph that I just read, one of the most popular videos, and it's the one that kind of bubbled to the top. I think actually what got me started down that rabbit hole of watching some of his videos even before we got started. One of the most popular videos he has posted is from February of this year, and it has been viewed almost 866 times. It's weird to make kids read the Bible, Abraham asked, then vulgarly explains, you want to know something, or rather, you want to know one of the silliest things about being raised devoutly evangelical? He answers, children are expected to read the Bible. I do want to stop there. I do think that there's room to get confused in the scriptures, and trust me, I joke with people like somebody that will preach through the book of Numbers, and you have got to be a special kind of person to preach through the book of Numbers. No question about Leviticus. I'm sorry. It's kind of rough sometimes, man. But again, the notion that, well, because a kid is asked to read this, and because they might not understand it fully, and we'll go through some of his arguments in a second, because they're not able to understand it fully, therefore they should not read it. I mean, come on now, that's not just even that's not even. I'm not even certain that's. I don't want to say you're not even trying to be fair, but let's jump in here because I do want to. I want to talk about it because I expect my kids to read. For resembling his father's wit, he says, if that doesn't seem weird to you, stick with me for a second. You might think the Bible is as for God so loved the world, okay, which of course is a quote from John 3:16, or that one emotionally lucid moment Paul had when he wrote about love, and now everyone reads at their weddings. I don't understand why, but again, he's taking a swipe at Paul. It is what it is. But those are the boring parts to a kid, anyways. Having experienced growing up in an evangelical household, there's a resemblance, or rather, a resentment in his voice when he says, and it's funny that the author recognized that that's kind of how he comes across with a level of resentment. Um, when he says, while other kids are learning to read with comic books or whatever normal parents have around the house, which by the way, I did enjoy reading comic books, and every now and then I do enjoy reading comic books even as an adult. And I have to admit, comic books are written at a great level if you want to increase your vocabulary. Comic books are excellent ways to increase your vocabulary. Not certain that I would probably stick with some of the older texts, some of the older comics, but they're written even higher level than your most newspapers. So, hey, I did read comic books. So what? But let's keep going. While the kids are reading that, Fundy, and that's a cute term for fundamental kids, are 6, 7, 8 year olds devouring stories of Jezebel being. I don't remember devouring the story of Jezebel being thrown out of a window, and eaten by dogs. I don't remember that. I don't remember doing that as a child. But okay, whatever. And then eaten by dogs, or Judas just her bowels bursting out, or Noah's sons laughing at him while he was passed out, drunk and naked, or Lot's daughters who got him drunk and had sex with him, so they could have babies. Those are 4 stories that I bet you if we took the time, Tim, to put them all together, they probably wouldn't account for 50 verses in total. If we took all those verses, all those scenarios that he pointed out, and put them together, it probably wouldn't be 50 in the Old Testament. And like I know, the Old Testament is thousands and thousands of verses. So no, and I know he's about to go here in a second about Song of Solomon, but here we go. The 39-year-old laughingly said, and those are just a few highlights off the top of my head, decades later. The good book is full of children's stories like these. It's basically Game of Thrones, except if you don't read it, you go to hell. I haven't read Game of Thrones or Game of Thrones. I don't think that that's even on the same level, but it is what it is. And he said he's recalled from his childhood. I almost forgot about the times I went back to Song of Solomon so I could read about breasts. I, again, as a child, that wasn't what drew me to the scriptures, or my main focus. If I was, if trust me, I wasn't going to the Bible if I was worrying about breasts. My dad had a collection. I didn't have to worry about that. So I don't understand this argument. I feel like he's just picking some basic things that an atheist would glean to, that somebody who hates the scriptures would say, oh yeah, Jezebel, that's proof that God is mean and evil. Yeah, Game of Thrones, that means God's just a horrible person. No, I really disagree with his approach. Again, you're welcome to disagree with the scriptures, but you have to be honest. And you mentioned that before. You don't feel like he's being honest, and I think that's my biggest problem with him.
No, I agree with everything you're drawing out here. And I'm going to hone in on that word resentment that's in this paragraph. Because Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I think that's a really important lesson in all of this. As humans, we sometimes put on this show as the reason I don't believe something is because of my brain. But the Bible actually speaks of us as a holistic being. We have a heart, right? And as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So really what's going on here is his heart is coming out, and he's to me, he seems very bitter and resentful, and that's why he's saying these things. And I have mixed feelings about it, because I obviously disagree with the way he's conveying these things and putting them forward as if they're intellectual barriers, when in reality, they don't hold up. But I sympathize, or I feel hurt, because obviously, for whatever reason, he's in this frame of mind, and his heart where it is now, and it's just really sad to see. So I have that feeling of, sense of sorrow for his situation, and I think a lot of people do.
And if you look at some of the comments, the author of this article said that he has 3,600 comments, and he just highlights a few of them.
Yes.
You see clearly that his audience, I know there were probably some comments that were in disagreement to Abraham Piper's approach, but these are the quote unquote the amen corner. And I just think it's so interesting how every one of these things that they're upset about or they don't like are almost from the Old Testament, except for one of the persons that were talking about a book, which, by the way, is not the Bible. But the person said, yep, we had a book about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ in lurid details, and I sobbed reading it in first grade, so graphically violent. Well, that's not the Bible, so I'm not certain why that would be a slight on the Bible or a slight on Christianity. That's not even the scriptures. But I find their kickbacks are all about the Old Testament, which just seems odd to me. Like, I didn't see any, and maybe I'll go back through and look and find this video and see if there's any kickback from the New Testament or from the Gospels or epistles or whatnot. But
interesting point.
These are all from the Old Testament. Noah's Ark, Daniel, Jonah. I don't know what's terrifying about Jonah, or any of that. It was just interesting. But the man knows his audience. He knows who's going to subscribe to his TikTok or follow his videos or glean from his ideologies. So he's done that homework, whether it be intentional or whatnot. He knows who he's writing to. He's not writing to Tim. He's not writing to Jason. He's not writing to many people who are fundamentalists, evangelicals, whatever he wants to call us today. I just think that, man, the argument is just so low-hanging fruit that it's almost like, man, I can't see this argument swaying Tim or a lot of the comments that we get down in the comment section or the commentors that we get in the comment section. Like, oh my gosh, Jezebel was disemboweled and eaten by dogs. I'm throwing my faith away. I just can't see that happening for most people. Again, this is just like he's writing for his amen corner. He's not writing to persuade somebody. But and a lot of his videos are like that. Even the one, God doesn't want you to have kids or something. Let me see the exact title of it. God said it's better for you not to have kids. I'm sorry. If you watch that video, okay, it's weird to make, I'm sorry, what's the name of it? Sorry. The Bible says having kids isn't a good idea. That's the video. No, that's not. And again, it's like you're, and I've said this many times, that there's ideologies that almost bet that you are not going to do any research, that you are not going to do any due diligence with what they say. They say something and you're just going to go with it. Like, oh, Tim told me that the best baseball team in the world is the Phillies. There you go. I'm just going to go. I'm not going to do any research. And it's almost like he expects you not to. And I remember that video particularly really jumped out, like, that's not what the scriptures say. So I've kind of went long, but I do feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for his family, because I keep thinking, like, can you imagine what Thanksgiving and Christmas must be like around his family with all of his family and their dynamics? And if he comes or if he doesn't come, or family reunions or family vacations, whatever they do, like, man, that's got to be pretty interesting. But so I feel sorry for the Piper family and such. But go ahead.
I hope what people hear, especially if there's anybody who is either not a Christian or is grappling with questions, that I hope they sense that other Christians, and I would want to be one of those people. I know you would too, Jason. We would love to hear questions you have. We're not ridiculing Abraham. He's ridiculing, obviously, but we're not ridiculing him. We're sad and grieved to see. And one thing I will say as we kind of wrap things up, I do hope to have Joshua from Ready to Harvest, that YouTube channel. I hope to have him on this channel, hopefully in the near future. We've started to email a little bit about that. But one of the things I want to talk to him about, I hope, is this issue of deconstruction. And so many people in our culture I'm hearing them, at least online, are like Abraham Piper. And there's like a whole group of people that get attention. Like you said, he's feeding into a certain audience. So there's a real trend out there. And I don't think everybody's deconstructing, but there is some, there's a group, there's an element of our culture where you see these people that are really taking issue a lot with Christianity and attacking it. And I would love to talk with Joshua about that. But again, I just want to reiterate here, we're not trying to ridicule people who don't believe. The Bible talks about having compassion, really, and reaching out to people. But at the same time, we want to be honest. And if someone is just throwing out arguments that are clearly, rooted in resentment and also, like you said, just kind of preaching to a certain audience that's going to eat it up, right. We're gonna say that that's obviously not a good thing. But yeah, I totally agree too. You think about the family, and I know there's probably people watching who have children that are not following the Lord, and we feel for you. And if, again, in the comments, if there's something we can be praying about, leave those in the comments too. Did you have anything else to say, Jason?
No, I know I tend to come across rather scathing sometimes, but no, at the end of the day, I do feel sorry for this young man, because I do believe that if you seriously have questions, again, why did God cause a flood? If God is so loving, why? Okay, I would sit down with you, Jason at jwitt.com. I would gladly sit down with you if in fact you are an honest seeker. Like, I believe God is there, but why is this happening? Why did C-19 happen? I'd gladly sit down with you. We'll go through the scriptures. But if it's just a hit piece about how terrible the Bible is and how fundies are just ignorant because they teach your kids the Bible, well, yeah, I don't have a lot of room for that. So, but I will gladly make as much room as possible for somebody that says, hey, I believe in God, but I just don't understand why Jesus had to die. Or I believe in God, or what's up with Daniel, or what's up with the book of Numbers, whatever. I'll gladly go through it with you. But I don't want it to come across like I'm just completely unsympathetic to his plight.
No, and I don't think, I know you, and I know you have sympathy and concern for others. And again, I'll just say this to kind of wrap things up. I do think it's an issue of the heart. I love what that one man said in the Bible: Jesus, I believe, but help my unbelief. If your heart is that, you want to move in the right direction, I think that you're in a good place, and we want to help people if they have that point of view. But yeah, there are people who their heart is really not in the right place, and then what they do is they act as if they have all these intellectual reasons, but in reality, they're grappling with things in their heart. And it's the intellectual stuff that they use almost as a smokescreen, or as a, I don't know, coping mechanism or something. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, I agree with you, because it's not a matter of intellect. I mean, he clearly knows enough, so it's not a matter of knowing enough. It's actually really just a matter of I surrender to it,
Right.
The fact that
Yeah.
God is told
Yeah.
us to
It's like if you have a relationship with your spouse and your heart's in the right place, you're going to love them the way God is calling you to love them. We're not perfect, but we still love our spouse.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if your heart is in the wrong place, even your spouse, you can become bitter and
Yep.
become attacking toward one another, right? And so, yeah, it's not just an intellectual thing with us as humans. We know we're supposed to love our spouse, right? But it's our heart. And so I hope that God will use this conversation just to help us all to seek God's mercy in our heart, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Jason, I hope that what we've said has been helpful, encouraging to people. And, you know, certainly there is this serious issue, but I will say also on a less serious note, maybe someone in the comments will tell us about TikTok and you'll have a change of heart on that issue.
Oh my gosh. Good luck with that. Good in the comment section. Let me know. But yeah, I don't understand it. But also I will also say I've not put a lot of mental energy into trying to understand it. So
no, I don't blame you. Yeah, not the most important
TikTok.
thing.
There you go.
There you go. Maybe that'll be a future video that we'll do.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Well, thank you, Jason. As always, great talking to you.
You got it, my friend. Take care.
God bless.
Grace and peace.